Okay, so welcome to the Turnitin update webinar. I'm just going to be going over the why Turnitin is changing in Canvas. We'll go over setting up an assignment within Turnitin, configuring the assignment since you'll have a lot more options. We'll show you what it looks like to submit an assignment from the student perspective. Go over the originality report and also review some of the grade mark features, as well as maybe some of the limitations that Turnitin has. So without further ado, I'm going to share my screen. And you should currently see my assignment page here in my Canvas course. You'll see they have a couple of assignments already created. And I'm just going to go through the basic setup of Turnitin with the LTI tool as compared to what the legacy version was, which was the API version. So I'm going to go into my assignments. I'm going to add a new assignment. And I'll call this one Turnitin Webinar. And create some instructions. And we're going to go down here. This is going to be a 10-point assignment. We'll leave this the same. Traditionally, when you'd go in and create a Turnitin type of assignment, you would go in and create it as an online assignment. You'd enable file uploads and then check the box for enable Turnitin submissions. So this was a fairly simple and straightforward way to set up your Turnitin assignments, but it was a little bit restrictive. You didn't have a whole lot of options when you wanted to enable Turnitin. You had a couple of advanced settings that you could access down here, but not really as granular. So Turnitin deprecated this API version. It's basically not going to be available after this calendar year. So starting in 2017, we're going to set it up a different way. And this way, the way that we're going to set it up is by going into the submission type and choosing external tool. And once you get to this point, you're going to want to find the Turnitin tool. So click on Find. Scroll down to Turnitin LTI. Be really careful. There are a couple things in here with turn at the beginning. So choose Turnitin instead of turning account registration. Hit select. And then you can set your other assignments, assigning it to everyone, maybe setting a due date. Let's set this for Thursday at 11:59. And I'm going to go ahead and save this assignment. Once we have this enabled, it's actually going to look a little bit different here from your other assignment settings. You'll see that this Turnitin interface has been enabled. You'll have your assignment inbox. Once you get submissions, they'll all be listed here. But you'll also want to check and verify the settings of this assignment. So when you click on Settings, you'll see you also have additional settings here. There are instructions within the assignment here in addition to what I already posted in the Canvas assignment. So a little bit of confusion. If you're initially setting up the assignment, you can create instructions and they'll appear up here, but you can also create them down here. We have the grade, the start date, the due date, as well as the feedback release date, which is usually set till like after the actual due date. Allowing submission of any file type. This is set to no by default, and I would keep it this way just because it accepts all the major file types anyway. Selecting yes will actually kind of complicate things a little bit. You'll see a little tooltip above each of these settings as well. So that's important to have to be aware of that. But you'll also direct you to these optional settings. Once you open that, there's a whole list of other settings in here. So allowing late submissions, this is defaulted to no. And I guess this is related to when the feedback is actually released. I'll leave it that way as well. But if you do want to allow late submissions, you can do that as well. But it might affect when your actual originality reports are sent back to you. Comparing the submitted papers against the following sources, you can leave these the way they are, but basically, so you have the student paper repository. This means from our institution and other institutions, as well as current and archived website content and periodicals, journals, and publications. So the originality report options here are generating the reports immediately. This means resubmissions are not allowed, or you can generate them immediately and allow resubmissions until the due date. Or generate reports on the actual due date, and resubmissions are allowed until the due date as well. So you have control over when the reports are generated. You can choose to exclude bibliographic materials if you want to. So why not? I'm going to choose that. Excluding quoted materials, you can do that as well. Excluding small matches. This lets you get really granular in how you set this up. Submissions to the assignment will be stored in the repository, or you can choose to not store the submitted papers if you want to. If you want these to be opted out of the repository, you can do that if you choose. It also lets you use Turnitin's very own peer review tool. So if you choose yes, then it'll be added to the peer mark assignment, or you can also attach a rubric to this assignment from within Turnitin. So this is Turnitin's own rubric software, separate from Canvas's rubric software. You are able to still use the Canvas rubrics if you want to. There's just another extra step we have to go through for that. So I'll show you how that works in a little bit. Then you can also now enable grammar checking. And then most importantly, since you've gone through all these various tweaks and adjustments to your options, you can choose to save those options as your defaults for future assignments. So if you check yes on there, you can set up any future Turnitin assignments with the same profile that you have. So I'm going to go ahead and submit that. It should all be saved. And when I pop back out to assignments, I'm going to publish that assignment so that my students can see that. So, do we have any questions at this point? I just opened the chat window here in case you want to ask any questions. Give it about 30 seconds here. And if you don't have any questions at this point, I'll go ahead and move on. We'll show you how to view this from the student perspective. So I'm going to log out. And I'm going to log in here as a student. Okay, and as a student, I'm logging into Canvas here. I'm going to go to that same course, my Turnitin course. I'll go to the assignments. And I've got this Turnitin webinar assignment that I need to complete. So let's go to that one. And you'll see from the student perspective, it opens up this Turnitin interface as well. It says no active papers in this assignment. I can upload the submission. And it gives me an option to either upload a file, put in a text input, or also additional options if I want to pull from my Google Drive account or from Dropbox. But I'm just going to go ahead and upload a file. This one will be my webinar paper. And it says the supported file types down here as well. So, you know, when we had that option checked for restricting the file types, it still allows a text file, Word, PowerPoint, PostScript, PDF, rich text, HTML, WordPerfect, Hangul, whatever that is, and OpenOffice. So it covers pretty much all of the various file types. So I'm going to go in and choose a file. I'll use a doc right here. Open. Then it'll ask me to continue. Looks like it's processing something or thinking. It takes a few seconds. Submission received, validated, ready to submit. So I haven't submitted it yet. Okay, let's go ahead and accept and save. And then basically it gives me my receipt there. Tells me exactly when I submitted it. I can download the file if I want to, preview the file if I want to as well, or have a digital receipt as well. It tells me exactly when it was submitted. And that's what it looks like from the student perspective. So let me jump out here and jump back into my instructor account. Now that we're in Proctorio and Turnitin again, I'll go back to my assignments, go into the webinar assignment, and you'll see that I have my submission there. So Alex, the student, submitted the paper. It gives me the time they submitted it. Obviously doesn't have a grade in there yet. And it's just currently processing the originality report. So that usually takes a while, at least 15 minutes, sometimes longer, depending on the volume that Turnitin is getting. So rather than wait for this, I'm going to go back to the assignments and I'll go to a previous assignment that had an actual submission and had a processed originality report. So this is the same thing. It's probably even the same paper, but you'll see the originality report came back as 100%. Not a surprise. I've used this paper several times when demoing Turnitin, so that's probably why. But if I go ahead and click on to this this paper, it opens up the Turnitin interface here. Actually, this is a different one that I think I used a lot, but you'll see that this is the Feedback Studio feature that Turnitin uses right now. So this interface is a little bit different from the legacy, but you can see if you want to go through the originality report, if you click on that, it highlights all of the potential sources from this paper. And if I go into here, it also gives me the ability to add feedback directly onto the paper as well. So if I wanted to, it works a lot like the built-in Canvas speed grader, except I can also add grammar feedback, grammatic feedback, and that kind of stuff by just clicking and dragging onto the paper as well. So that's basically how you access it, and then you can also grade it up here, and that grade gets transferred back into the Canvas gradebook. So let me just stop here and see if we have any other questions at this point. No, there is no separate login for Turnitin. So it's all single sign-in. Basically, when you go through into your Canvas course, you're automatically authenticated into Turnitin. So you don't have to go to the separate site or anything like that. It just knows that you're signed in as a CU Denver user and gives you access to the tool. Great. All right, well, moving on. Let's see, lost my place. So if you, I'm going to go ahead and leave this site. So let's say you wanted to add a Canvas rubric, or actually, I'll let you see that also you can, if you don't want to use the Turnitin's version of the speed grader, the paper will still show up in the Canvas speed grader. You have access to that. So if you click onto that, it will open up the speed grader on another page. It will have the paper in line, and it will also have the originality score, so you don't have to change your workflow entirely. If you're used to just using the legacy API version of Turnitin, you'll get the originality report here. It'll pop it open as another page on there and give you the actual originality report on another page. So you can still continue to grade with the speed grader, add comments, add annotations with the Canvas speed grader. So it hasn't broken that integration, which is good. But let's say you want to use a Canvas rubric for this assignment. You have to do that before enabling Turnitin on the assignment itself. So I'll walk you through how that works. So let's go ahead and add a new assignment. And this one will be Turnitin with Canvas rubric. And instead of going through and choosing the external tool, I'll just make it a no submission assignment for the time being. Go in and add the due date as well. Let's make it due on the Friday. And I'm going to save it for now. Once it's saved, this gives me the option to add the Canvas rubric of my choice. So if I go in and add a rubric, let's find one of these rubrics here. Put in the critical thinking rubric. All right, so I've got this big rubric that I spent a whole bunch of time creating. I don't want to recreate that within Turnitin. Now it's finally attached to the assignment here. Then I can go in and I can edit this assignment again and change the submission type from no submission to external tool. Find the Turnitin LTI. And I can save it again. And then once I have this in here, if I go to the speed grader, oh, I got to publish it first. Never mind. Okay, let's jump back out. Let's publish this. Go back in, hit the speed grader. And my rubric will be attached for this paper. Oops. And I should be able to bring this out. Let me click and drag. There we go. Drag it out here. And I can use the Canvas rubric for my grading. Okay, so any more questions at this point? Okay, so basically just a couple final words on this, and I'll let you all go. So Turnitin works pretty well as far as like detecting originality. However, there's still not really a great solution in place for, let's say, papers that are contracted out for somebody to, somebody hires somebody to write their paper for them. I guess you call it a bespoke plagiarism solution. Turnitin is not so great about detecting that. We are currently at CU Online looking into software that creates digital fingerprints, which would probably be more of a solution for this type of plagiarism detection. So we're currently looking at some software. Some of them are working better than others. We're still doing in the proof of concept stage of that, but basically the whole concept would be a student submits at least 3 samples of work, and that creates their fingerprint. So if anything deviates from that student's writing fingerprint, then it would be flagged for as a potentially unoriginal work. But I think one of the best ways to prevent plagiarism is using drafts and workshopping instead of just submitting one final draft to a paper. It also is a lot more helpful pedagogically when you provide feedback and do some formative types of assessment with your papers. So submitting drafts, providing feedback, and then the student finally submits that, because Because doing drafts would be pretty cost prohibitive if you get to the stage of trying to pay somebody to write your paper for you. But if you have any other questions or issues with Turnitin, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. You can reach us at via the CU Online Help Desk, CU Online Help at ucdenver.edu, or 303-315-3700. So if there aren't any other questions, I think we can wrap this up. And thanks for attending.